Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are talking about monarchs and creating beautiful gardens that help support not only our monarchs but other butterflies and pollinators as well. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a little tour of Mimi, my mama's Monarch Waystation, which is an official garden that has been designated, tended to, developed to help support the migration of the monarch butterflies. So we are going to take a look at her, see what she has in her garden, and then we are going to head back down to our house where I am beginning to create a garden similar to that aspect. So get ready. We're going to have lots of fun learning about monarchs and how to support them and other pollinators in our garden. All right, so before we get into like the big meat of the garden tour, a couple of little things. I think monarchs are quite the buzzword, right, in the horticultural world. I think even if you're not a gardener, you have heard about monarchs, you have heard about their decline in population. And so we're just going to kind of do some quick little facts. Now, I am by no means a monarch expert. I am still learning and I am still developing my repertoire of monarch facts. So I know that there's probably a ton of you out there that know way more than I do. So we would love it. Put it in the comments, put some facts, put some different ways that you support the monarchs in your garden. But basically, monarchs are considered so important because they are, one, they're a beautiful butterfly, right? They have these bright, beautiful wings. You can tell a male from a female because the male will actually have a dot on his wing where the female will not. So you can tell by looking at them which one is a male, which one is a female, but probably they're most widely known because of their migratory pattern. It is insane. Depending on where the butterflies go, they can travel up to between 1,200 and 2,800 miles. Yes, that is their migratory pattern, all the way from like the northeast of the United States, southeast Canada, down to the mountainous region. They're like, I think it's in central Mexico. So it is an insane amount of space and time that they can actually travel. They have these great hunting skills. They know where to go. They have this, the Lord just built it in them to know where to go back and forth in the migratory pattern. Basically, they go to Mexico in like November through March, and then they begin their pattern up, moving up towards the United States and, like I said, Southeast Canada. An adult can only live for 4 to 5 weeks, right? So an adult monarch butterfly only lives 4 to 5 weeks. And there's this massive reproductive cycle throughout the entire growing season of these adults, right? They mate, they find a hospitable place to lay their eggs. Those babies, they go and they eat, and then they become these beautiful butterflies. Then they continue that pattern on. They live as adults for 4 to 5 weeks, and then the cycle continues. So what we want to do is to help support them, right? Because there is only one source of food for the larva of a monarch butterfly. So the babies, what do those baby little caterpillars eat? They eat milkweed. And so if there is no milkweed, then those babies cannot live. So we want to support those. And so that's why these monarch waystations and trying to bring back that milkweed in people's gardens and in native areas is so important. There are many different types of milkweed. And so there are, like I said, there are native milkweed that you can see growing on the side of the road going up. I always heard that you could find milkweed, growing like that. And I have never seen it before in my life. Jerry and I were actually going to a horticultural show in Columbus, Ohio a couple of years ago, and we drove. And when we were driving, we got up into, I don't know where that was, like West Virginia, Ohio, where we were. And on the side of the road, there was tons of the native milkweed. I had never seen it before. So it was great to see that. So here in Mimi's garden, she just started developing this garden last year. It is not even a year old. Because if you're familiar with my mama, she lives basically underneath pine trees. So that is the beginning of her garden. So she has a very shady garden. Pollinators love full sun gardens. They cannot regulate their body temperature, so they need that nice hot sun to give them the energy. And then, of course, they need the flowers to feed on. And predominantly these flowers are going to be found in your full sun gardens. So you can see that Mimi has got a whole host of different plants, different stages. Some are blooming, some are not blooming. And all of these plants, their main goal is to attract the pollinators, bring them in, give them a food source, not only for the adults, whether it's the bees, the butterflies, you name it in here, but also to provide a host for those monarchs to come and to lay their eggs. So like this is an example. This is the, and I'm probably going to butcher the names, Asclepias incarnata. So this is a type of milkweed, right? So you can see it's nice and tall. It's got those bigger leaves on it. So the butterflies, the monarchs will come and they will find the milkweed and they will lay their eggs on them. And then once the little larvae hatch, then they start going to town and feasting. Mimi has actually had already some little caterpillars, some little larvae come in, and this is the world milkweed. And so you can see, let's see if we can show it over here. It is a very, very fine foliage. It almost kind of reminds me of like Amsonia. So very fine. But if you can see this one, she's actually starting to regrow. So Mimi had a monarch come in here and she had some little caterpillars, and man, they are voracious. That is the thing about the monarch caterpillars. Once they start eating, man, they absolutely go to town, and they have voracious appetites. I mean, they can absolutely strip a plant really quickly. And so you've got to have more than just like a milkweed. You need to have multiple different kinds of plants and have them in numbers, because once basically they strip one plant, then they'll come down, they'll crawl over, go to another milkweed, and begin feasting on that. So Mimi has really been trying hard to do, so she's got the incarnata, she's got the world milkweed, she has got the tuberosa. This is the yellow one. And so you can see that these bright colors are going to attract the adults, right? They're going to see this beautiful bright yellow. And then this is where those little babies, they can lay their eggs and they can eat, because this is a milkweed. So this tuberosa comes in like the yellow and the orange. The orange is not blooming here yet. We just have the yellow. I have an orange one at my house. So I'm trying very carefully to tiptoe out of her garden because I don't want to squish them. So not only do we want to have these milkweeds, and it's an interesting fact, not that I think you're going to be going around like, you know, just eating the plants in your garden, but milkweed, all the different parts of the milkweed, and I think I'm saying this right, are poisonous. So don't go eat the milkweed. But that also helps the monarchs, because if milkweed is their only food source that they eat, then that means that the monarchs themselves are poisonous. So predators tend to stay away from trying to eat the butterflies, because they know that the monarchs themselves would be poisonous to them because of the milkweed. It's the whole circle of life and the cycle of life, my friends. So that is a very cool fact. So what Mimi has done, like I said, obviously she's got tons of different kinds of milkweed in here, but she's got echinaceas. She has got, for her later season, she has got some Stokes asters right here, because where we are in North Carolina, we have always just basically seen the monarchs late in the season. This is the first year that I've actually seen a monarch early on in the season, which may have been that same monarch that came and laid eggs here in Mimi's garden. So we want things that are blooming for a very long time throughout the gardening season. So she's got rudbeckia, she has got a verbena, she's got gaillardia. I think she's got some cosmos back here, some salvias. She has got all sorts of things. She's got solidago. Solidago is a great end of the season bloomer. That's going to be those nice native flowers, nice bright cherry yellow. Again, more of the verbena. This looks like an upright geranium, I'm going to say, possibly. She's got baptisias. I mean, like everything that you could possibly think of. for a full sun garden Mimi has put in here. But like I was saying, she lives underneath the pine trees. So last year she got a bee in her bonnet and decided that she was going to develop this garden right here because she's so cute. Because the garden is right beside the road that goes up to production. And she wanted to create a pretty garden for all the employees to see as they pass by. And so she started working it. Well, I think we did 2 videos. I'll link those for you. But she had, she started out very small, and it was up here at the top. And then she kept having so much fun. She kept moving and moving and moving and moving and moving and adding and adding and adding to the garden. So this garden has developed, like I said, in less than a year, and she has had lots of fun. And then of course we as the employees and owners that drive by here all the time have enjoyed it as well. So last year I was inspired. I was like, you know what? Mimi is doing such a great job at this. I need to focus in on our new cottage garden that we were kind of revamping. Let me see if I could have a section that I too can do what Mimi is doing, a little bit of a smaller scale, because Mimi's got her Monarch waystation is big and beautiful and is doing a great job. I just want to have like a little smaller section, but I too want to help, of course, the monarchs and all the pollinators and the butterflies. So what we're going to do is head on down to the house because I have got some milkweed that I need to add, and I actually have a very mature milkweed in the garden that when we revamped, I was like, do not touch this plant. She is getting ready to be in full bloom, and we're going to add, it is not a native milkweed. It is actually native to like South Africa, but last year, because Mimi has it in her garden, it has a very fun, unique, kind of unfortunate name to it, but the monarchs love it, and it's one of the absolute last milkweeds to really be like in flower and in full bloom. So those monarchs that are coming through the end of the season, they love this kind of milkweed. So let's head down to the house and we'll talk about what we're going to do and get some plants in the ground. Okay, my friends, so here we are at the house here at the cottage garden. And so last year when we were designing this cottage garden, kind of revamp, right? So the existing cottage garden basically started here at the Amsonia and then all the way down. So all of that was already here, even though we did revamp it. But from the left of the Amsonia, this cottage garden extension, this is where I really wanted to kind of develop that Monarch waystation, if you want to call it that. I'm not an official waystation. Mimi is. I am not. This is just going to be a super pollinator friendly, monarch friendly, butterfly friendly space here. So what we have here is just tons of, you can see my echinacea has started blooming. I've got some agastache in here, some cleome. My rudbeckia is going quite nicely. I've got cuffias down here as well. And then just the other week, you were with me underneath the cloaks are, I've got zinnia seeds on this side. So they have germinated quite nicely, if you can see them in there. I put the cloaks here, one for me to remember that these are where the zinnias are. This one is doing great right here, if you can see all those little seedlings. And then also for Furball over there, because she is she's a German Shepherd and she's quite large and she has big feet. And if she were to run through here and step on my seedlings, then that would not be good. The cloaks, she recognizes when the plants are big, and so she doesn't step on the plants. But so this is what the cloaks are doing for. Zinnias and cosmos are great for your pollinators, for your butterflies. It brings them in. They see them, they love them. These particular ones here are yellow, orange, and red. So what we're going to do is I found some of the butterfly weed. This is the orange and the yellow. This is the tuberoso kind of milkweed. And so I've got, like right here, 3 of the oranges. So we're going to plant them kind of close together. Then I've got 2 of the yellows right here. And then a little bit further down, I've got another orange and a yellow. So you saw what the yellow milkweed looked like up at Mimi's waystation. And then this is mine. So this is that tuberoso as well. And this is the orange. So this is the one I was telling you about that's been here for several years and wanted to protect it. It is it budded, but it is not quite yet in bloom. So I would love for the fact that the monarchs find this and lay some eggs and they go to town on it. We shall see. So she is here ready to be eaten on and getting ready to absolutely explode in color. Your milkweed is going to be completely herbaceous, deciduous, whatever you want to call it. So in winter, it dies completely back, right? So all of this will die completely back. So just kind of keep in mind where it is if you're going in and you're going to be planting. Now, I was only planning on planting milkweed today, but as I was leaving Mimi's garden and I was coming down here, I saw all of the Monarda up at production that was in bloom. And I was like, oh, you're killing me, Smalls. So Monarda is famous for bringing in the pollinators and the butterflies. So I grabbed 2 different kinds. I got a beautiful lavender one that's going to go over here on this end. This is the lavender taffeta, upscale lavender taffeta. It's going to be in that 2-foot range. You can see beautiful lavender flowers, a little bit getting close to the end of the bloom cycle here, but just gorgeous. So we're going to put those 3 together so they can get a nice, huge, big clump. And then down here in my, really trying to get these butterflies to come, I grabbed the red. So I grabbed the upscale red velvet. This would be comparable as far as like in color, much shorter variety than the traditional Jacob's Klein. So nice, beautiful red, still got lots of buds to open up. She's going to be a little bit taller at that 32 inches. So I got 3 of those and put those are going to go in here as well. Then my other milkweed that I've got some seedlings for. This is, you'll notice that they're in the Proven Winners cup. So there's 1, 2, and then there's a 3rd one right here. They are not Proven Winners. We were just recycling the containers. This is Swan Milkweed, also known as Hairy Balls milkweed, because what it's going to do is it is going to get nice and tall. It is going to form these beautiful, sweet little flowers. Those flowers are then going to make the seed pods, which are round little balls, and they're very textured. So it's known as hairy balls or a balloon flower plant, I believe. But these are going to get nice and tall. These are the ones that are not native. They're native to like South Africa, but they will get some good height to them. So more than likely, because this is where the north winds come this way, as it grows, I will have to support it and stake it because it could easily flop over, especially if we get those, you know, those late, like those big classic summer thunderstorms with all the wind. So I'll probably stake this as it grows just to keep it nice and supported. The reason that I'm adding this, yes, it is not native. Now, where I am, it is not invasive. It will drop seeds. So fun story. So Mimi had the Swan Milkweed up in her waystation last year, right? It dropped seeds. She gave some of those little babies to Cece, our garden center manager. Then Cece planted them, then hers created seeds. So then she dug those up, gave them back to Mimi. Mimi then gave them to me. So we're literally just like passing the same little seedlings all the way around. So now I have 3. Now it depends on where you are. If you're in a more, I believe, don't quote me on this, but if you're in a more tropical, warmer environment, they could, you know, just kind of go everywhere in your garden. So just be aware. If you're in a colder climate, you don't have to worry about it. But I am not worried about it. It is not like this is going to be like all over my yard. So this is that one of those last milkweeds. So my monarchs that are coming through at the end of the season, this is going to be a great plant for them. Last year, at the end of the season, Mimi had caterpillars and chrysalis on hers, so I am very excited to add these. So what I'm going to do is grab my, I'll just use probably the 5-inch, Jenny's 5-inch auger, because these are 1 gallons or smaller. Get these in the ground. Everybody's going to get some biotone and get them in, and yeah, then they can just start growing, and the monarchs can come and all the other pollinators can come. It's going to be a beautiful, colorful summer. I cannot wait. All right, my friends, so all of the plants are in the ground. They are ready to go, start growing. Come on, little pollinators, come on, little monarchs. It have created a beautiful little habitat for you to come have fun in all summer long. So yeah, I mean, pretty simple, pretty straightforward, right? So went ahead and got those butterfly weeds in. This is, the fuchsia is bright echinacea. Is she not beautiful? Just stunning. They overwintered so well here. The new Maestro Coral Agastache that will be available next year. We've got a little bumblebee just having a great time out here on the plants. But yeah, just having these guys in here, you know, all I have to do is just sit and wait for them to come, making that nice little group right here together. And yeah, and then we've got the yellow ones up there. So there we go. The Monardas are in. They are happy. They are cheery. I did not get them in the ground more than 2 seconds, and the bees were just coming and having a field day with them. Went ahead and got, of course, the other, the Swan Milkweed, the hairy balls in. And they are tiny, right? So they're little guys. And I just got, like literally, just got these really cute plant stakes. And so I was like, you know what? We're just gonna go ahead and put them right here. So that way somebody doesn't mistake this as a weed and pull it. I might get a little bit of twine and just very loosely tie it up to the stake. But these are these really cute spiral plant stakes. Oh, I tell you, so there's 3 of them right through here. And, you know, Big Brother, social media, whatever, they tell you, they certainly know what you like. And so I found these from an ad on Instagram, and I went and explored their website. They had a lot of cool, like English cottage style type plant stakes and supports and gazebos and all this other stuff, agra frames. And so I gave them a try. Got these 3 little spirals, and then I got 2 shorter weave ones that I'm using for my foxgloves. Ultimately, they'll probably be too small for the foxgloves, but I went ahead and put them on. I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, just adding some little bit of texture and difference and a little architectural statement here with those plant supports. And then of course, I mean, I do think that these little milkweeds will need something to kind of help hold them on and nice and upright, because I have a feeling that they will get kind of floppy. But even from this angle, everything is just looking great. And it's only going to get better, right? Because we've got hydrangeas, the firelight tidbits, the grasses, the perennial grasses, of course, are going to take off and have fun plumes. The Pugster amethyst butterfly bush, yeah, all sorts of fun things in here. So this kind of gives you the perspective from the top down. And then we got the lavender monarda in there, down there on the end. The sun is coming around. They will be in full sun. But these were the other little supports that I got. So they're a little bit shorter. And like I said, I'm sure for the foxgloves, ultimately they won't be tall enough. But for now they work, and they're holding up the little stems. And so that nice little weave on those guys as well. So if you've got a sunny spot in your garden, then I highly encourage you to plant something that's going to attract the pollinators, right? If you can find some milkweed, slap some milkweed in the garden, right? Certainly isn't going to hurt. Put it in there. But yeah, so any of those nice, really bright, happy, cheery, flowery, whether it's a perennial or an annual, nice, big, bold, pretty colors. Your pollinators love them. Your butterflies love them. Let's help support them. Even if you can't find milkweed in your area, plant some of those zinnias, those all the plants that the adults can feed on as they're making their journey up and down the East Coast, down to, you know, Mexico, and it makes me tired just even thinking about it, y'all. But anyway, I will keep you updated on how this garden goes. I'll keep you updated on Mimi's garden as well. If you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational, we would love it if you would like and subscribe. Gardening with Creekside. Y'all have an amazing day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.